लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय श्रील प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय श्री 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 राधा कृष्ण ललिता विशाखा भगवान की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महाराज की जय जय गौरचंद्र भगवान की जय लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा स्वामी की जय जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय इस्कॉन संस्थापकाचार्य बीबीटी फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय नमाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत श्री गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्यामकुंड राधाकुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगमा यमुनमाय की जय भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय श्रीगोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपगतामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपथकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवां च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगुणरघुनाथान्वितां सतं सजीवं सत्वैदं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललितां श्रीविशाखान्वितां च हे कृष्णकरुणासिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादे पश्चात्याय देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत श्री गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Om Tat Sat. Srimad Bhagavatam, canto number 1, chapter number 5, text number 12. Sri Narada Maharishi's instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam. Naiṣkarmyam api acyuta-bhāva-varjitam. Naiṣkarmyam api acyuta-bhāva-varjitam. न śobhate jñānam alaṁ nirañjanam. न śobhate jñānam alaṁ nirañjanam. naiṣkarmyam api acyuta-bhāva-varjitam. न śobhate jñānam alaṁ nirañjanam. kutaḥ punaḥ śaśvad abhadram īśvare. kutaḥ śaśvad abhadram īśvare. न cārpitam karma yadyapi akāraṇam. न cārpitam karma yadyapi akāraṇam. naiṣkarmyam api acyuta-bhāva-varjitam. śobhate jñānam alaṁ nirañjanam. kutaḥ śaśvad īśvare. न cārpitam karma yadyapi akāraṇam. naiṣkarmyam api acyuta-bhāva-varjitam. न śobhate jñānam alaṁ nirañjanam. punaḥ śaśvad abhadram īśvare. yadyapi akāraṇam. naiṣkarmyam api acyuta-bhāva-varjitam. śobhate jñānam alaṁ nirañjanam. punaḥ śaśvad abhadram īśvare. arpitam karma yadyapi akāraṇam. Matajis. naiṣkarmyam api acyuta-bhāva-varjitam. न śobhate jñānam alaṁ nirañjanam. kutaḥ śaśvad abhadram īśvare. karmam yadapyakāraṇam. Translation and purport is Divine Grace, by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. naiṣkarmyam, self-realization, being freed from the reactions of fruitive work. Api, in spite of. Achyuta, the infallible Lord. Bhava, conception. Varjitam, devoid of. Na, does not. Śobhate, look well. Jñānam, transcendental knowledge. Alaṁ, by and by. Nirañjanam, free from designations. Kutaḥ, where is. Punaḥ, again. śaśvat, always. Abhadram, uncongenial. īśvare, unto the Lord. Na, not. Cha, and. Arpitam, offered. Karma, fruitive work. Yat api, what is. Akāraṇam, not fruitive. Translation. Knowledge of self-realization even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities, which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature, if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord? Translation responsive. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities, which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature, if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord? Purport. As referred to above, not only ordinary literatures devoid of the transcendental glorification of the Lord are condemned, but also Vedic literatures and speculation on the subject of impersonal Brahman when they are devoid of devotional service. When speculation on the impersonal Brahman is condemned on the above ground, then what to speak of ordinary fruitive work, which is not meant to fulfill the aim of devotional service? Such speculative knowledge and fruitive work cannot lead one to the goal of perfection. Fruitive work, in which almost all people in general are engaged, is always painful either in the beginning or at the end. It can be fruitful only when made subservient to the devotional service of the Lord. I repeat, fruitive work can be fruitful only when made subservient to the devotional service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita also, it is confirmed that the result of such fruitive work may be offered for the service of the Lord. Otherwise, it leads to material bondage. We know the famous verse, Ijñātat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. The bona fide enjoyer of the fruitive work is the personality of Godhead. And thus, when it's engaged for the sense gratification of the living beings, it becomes an acute source of trouble. Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. On behalf of ISKCON Chennai, we welcome everyone for this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Raghavendra Prabhu, is it audible? Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. Am I audible there?
We are in a wonderful section in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is setting the tone for a wonderful journey which is going to unfold over the next 11 and a half cantos. It's such a beautiful part of Bhagavatam, and some very, very instructive and informative portion as well, wherein the spiritual master and the disciple are discussing. Basically, spiritual master is volunteering and reaching out to the hermitage of his disciple Srila Vyasadeva, and glorious Sri Narad Muni is instructing his disciple about Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, what went wrong with all his previous scriptures and what is supposed to be done for in all his future work. That's what is being advised to Srila Vyasadeva. So in this chapter, if we carefully see in the first 4 verses, we will see that spiritual master is wonderfully glorifying the disciple, basically. It was a interesting section. Spiritual master volunteering himself, coming to the ashrama and glorifying his disciple. And being greatest of Mahajanas, he has got some special divine scanner, using which he scans completely his disciple, not just external, but as well as his intelligence and the mind and his soul. Practically, when we stand in front of the spiritual master doesn't need any explanation about us, who we are, what we are, and what we have achieved. They have the amoga drishti, amoga drik, to precisely identify, scan and diagnose and identify what we are and who we are. Basically, that's what is actually being demonstrated here by. That's one among the aspect which is being demonstrated by Sri Narada Muni here, with his disciple. So after those glorifications in the first 4 verses, and he asks, why you are dissatisfied? Because we being dissatisfied is anyway normal. But Srila Vyasadeva being dissatisfied is extremely abnormal, because he is not someone who has compiled just a few scriptures, 1 or 2 pages or few thousands or verses. It's practically humongous. Whatever number of verses which he has compiled is practically humongous. Out of that, just if we take one scripture, say Mahabharata, it's called Sapada Laksha Grantha, wherein we have 1.25 lakhs of verses. And when glorifying Mahabharata, it is said, Yad asti tadanyatra, yad nehasti na tatkvachit, dharmecha artecha mokshecha kamecha bharadarshava. That which can't be found in Mahabharata, it need not be searched elsewhere. We can't find it in the other scriptures. That which is available in Mahabharata, again, we need not search in other scriptures, because it's already there in Mahabharata. Such a great scripture, 1.25 lakhs of verses, but still that great personality is despondent. And in section of verses following text number 5 to 7, and also even in the previous 1 to 4, we will see that the way spiritual master glorifies his disciple, is a Saktyavesh avatar, son of sage Parashara, the great parentage, great knowledge, unbelievable knowledge. Yet such a person is despondent, has compiled all the Vedic literatures and all the Puranas and the Itihasas, yet is dissatisfied. So spiritual master is so curious. Actually, he knows very well the reason for his despondency. Nevertheless, he wanted to hear from his own disciple. He gives an opportunity. And then asks, why you are so dissatisfied? In text number 5 to 7, we see that Srila Vyasadeva acknowledges whatever his spiritual master says. Astyeva sarvam tvayuktam tatapina atma parishuttushyate me. Yes, my dear spiritual master, whatever you said is all absolutely right. I have great lineage, Vyasam Vasishtanaptaram Shakte Pautramakalmasham Parashratmajam Mande Shukatatam Taponitim. Interesting aspect of Srila Vyasadeva is whether it is his parents or whether it is his son, it's all amazing. Great lineage which can't even be imagined. So what you said is right. I have compiled all these things, and it is not just that, he is a person who has understood Brahman, he has realized Brahman, and he has glorified that supreme Brahman across the Vedic literatures in the Uttara Bhaga of Vedas, in the Upanishads and in the Brahma Sutra, exclusively dedicated for impersonal Brahman. Okay, still he is dissatisfied. Sometimes when we compile some glorification, for Vyasa Puja, glorifying our spiritual masters, probably a few lines or a half a page or a full page, what would be our feel after that compilation? And just let's delve into the feeling of Srila Vyasadeva. He is dissatisfied after all these glorious services which he has done to this humanity. Any great scripture, what we see, it's all because of him, exclusively for the welfare of the humanity. He has given all these things, put up all these efforts. How many of you have gone to Badrigashrama? Mana? Okay. Pretty cold place, very, very cold. In the cave there is a gufa, Vyas gufa, and as we come down a bit, we will see Ganesh gufa as well. Extremely cold. On the banks of Alaknanda, sitting there, and compiling, for us, we visit there, we stay there for hardly maximum of 48 hours. We are not able to manage. Whereas this personality, having sat there, compiled all these great scriptures, yet is dissatisfied. So his Acharya is very much surprised to see that despondency. And another interesting thing which I felt nice was the way a leader should give feedback to his team members. An amazing methodology is being followed by Sri Narad Muni. He first glorifies his disciple. He inquires his well-being. He appreciates all his scriptural contributions, and then asks why he is upset. But when he gives the answer on the point blank range, he says, Yatha dharmadayasya arthaha munivarjya anukirtitaha na tatha vasudevasya mahimahi anuvarnitaha. Straightforward. You have done everything, but you didn't glorify the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. That's the main reason for your dissatisfaction. So from text number 8 to text number 21, we will see that Narada Maharishi advises his disciple about the importance of glorifying the Supreme Lord through the pages of Bhagavatam. That's the reason we have often heard from His Holiness Banswami Maharaj. Initially, Srimad Bhagavatam was compiled. Nevertheless, that was not meeting out the expectations of Sri Narada Muni, and that had to be revised, including all those wonderful narrations about the glories of the Supreme Lord. As we read through the first 11 verses, Prabhupada has used some very, very interesting statements in the purport. Considering the glories of Vyasadeva, in the beginning he says, a person who is engaged in 100%, 100% devotional service is the emblem of all knowledge. That's the phrase Prabhupada uses in the purport. Emblem of all knowledge. Emblem is considered as complete, absolute representation of anything and everything associated to that particular topic. Let's say, if it's our great institution, we have our great institution, we have our amazing logo. So the moment we see that divine lotus and that divine tilaka, it gives a lot of pleasure when we see that. It reminds about ISKCON, it reminds about Srila Prabhupada, it reminds about the Supreme Personality of God at Krishna. And all those amazing services Srila Prabhupada has done through this institution. Similarly, when we look at the emblem of the government of Tamil Nadu, many of you might have noticed the emblem. It's online, looks like some challenges. Okay. Any idea what is special about the emblem of Tamil Nadu, government of Tamil Nadu logo, that Gopuram? Srivilliputturu temple's Gopuram. So immediately, this is Margadi Masa, so we got an opportunity to, get reminded about Srivilliputturu Gopuram. So these, that's the way Prabhupada compares, or uses that analogy to describe about the knowledge which a pure devotee has. So that's the extent of knowledge Srila Vyasadeva has, yet he was dissatisfied. So in text number 8 and 9 particularly, Srila Narad Muni compares that those scriptures which doesn't describe the glories of the Lord, they are compared to those on which crows will be very much interested. And in the subsequent, in the same verse, those which describe the glories of the Lord, on those subject matters, it is the swan which will be interested. So that's a nice analogy which is being given there. Further to that, from text number 10 and 11, from between 12 to 16, that's the section we are in now. Very clearly, Narada Maharishi describes that Bhakti is the only valuable option available, and that too, that Bhakti with the element of Kirtana is what is going to help us. Basically, no other modality will help us in achieving the desired result. You know. So we see that any glorification, any description which does not include the glories of the Supreme Lord is Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. If these are not included in the subject matter, in that literature, then it's straight away condemned by Sri Narada Muni. So on course of the discussion, as we see the purports of descriptions of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and also in Vyakyata very nicely analyzes it as a discussion between Narada Maharishi and Vyasdev, wherein Acharya says, you are dissatisfied because you didn't describe about the Supreme Lord. And the disciple says, no, I have described about the Supreme Lord in Padma Purana. I have described about the Supreme Lord in Vishnu Purana. Yes, you have described. Still, why he is dissatisfied? What could be the reason? Yes, because we ourselves take a lot of reference from Padma Purana, taking quotes, sharing, Aradhananam Sarvesham Vishnura Aradhanam Param, all these we take reference from, like that several verses from Padma Purana, we take reference and we see that it is quoted in Padma Purana. So then why still he is dissatisfied? Any thoughts? In Vishnu Purana, that whole Purana is dedicated for Lord Mahavishnu. Jai Shri 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 Radha Krishna Lalita Vishaka Bhagavan ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Chandra Bhagavan ki Jai, Shri Shri Lakshmi Narasimha Swami ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So what could be the reason? He has compiled actually. He has described about Supreme Lord Vishnu. Why is he still dissatisfied? Yes? Huh? Sorry? People's mentality is inclined towards sense gratification, so people may not be attracted towards such scriptures. Okay, any other thoughts? Yeah, exactly. Hari. So actually what very clearly Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes is bhakti or Vishnu bhakti, which has been described in all this, is being utilized as a process to attain mukti, moksha. For mukti or moksha we don't require this Vishnu bhakti. So that is one thing. So Vyasdev says, no, I have described, this can be used as an element of process for mukti. No, that's not the way it should be. That's independent. It can reward us much more than what mukti can give us. That's one thing. The next thing is, though he didn't describe a lot. It is in bits and pieces. Here and there, very few verses. That is it. But that's not what Sri Narada Maharshi wants from Vedavyasa. He wants the entire scripture to be completely loaded with the glories of the Supreme Lord. Okay. So that's the reason he is pushing his disciple and ensuring that the glories of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna alone is described. So that's why from Srimad Bhagavatam all the way, almost from Bhishma Stuti, or even from the next chapter itself, we will start seeing how Vedavyasa realized the Supreme Lord, how he had darshan of the Lord, and how we started compiling. Then goes Bhishma Deva's prayers, then Maharani Kunti's, and all these amazing sections. And after that, it's completely dedicated to the Supreme Lord, no deviation whatsoever. In case of Mahabharata, he starts off with the intent to glorify the Lord, but completely gets deviated. Whereas that is not the case with Mahabharata. It's exclusively focused on Lord Vishnu up to the 9 cantos, and then dedicated for Krishna exclusively. 10th canto is dedicated for Krishna. So Another interesting thing which I could see in this is the disciple, to clarify his doubt, to clear his dissatisfaction, the reason for his dissatisfaction, he didn't go to any other XYZ. He is getting the feedback from his spiritual master. And the reason for getting from his spiritual master, yes, he's not an ordinary spiritual master. Vyasdeva himself says, Purana Purusha Upasitaha, in the previous verses we would have come across. You are an amazing servant of the Supreme Lord. You are serving the greatest of the Lords. So you are the right person to give me the feedback. So please tell me. So when we reach to clarify the reasons for our dissatisfaction or our issues or anything, it's very important that the criteria is this: he should be a devotee of the Supreme Lord. That's very much essential. So another important aspect is, but nowadays what happens is, the first thing, whom do we reach out to? Nowadays, whom? Google, and now Google's father, we have ChatGPT. Immediately, that's what we look into. We may have our Bhagavatam, but immediately we look into Google. Thanks to all the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, if not for folio finished, we are absolutely finished. So, but Vyasdev didn't try that. Though he was more advanced, he was uncomparable to Google himself. But still he reached out to his spiritual master to get the doubts clarified. Another important reason which we can understand from this, reason why Narada Maharshi is emphasizing that the glorification should be only about the Lord Krishna, is that is the only subject matter which can give the highest bliss. Dharmartha Kama Moksha, fruitive activity, jnana, ashtanga yoga, they all give to some extent that bliss or that satisfaction is also attained through those processes. But as we time and again we have heard from His Holiness Bhanswami Maharaj, very often Maharaj says this, we wouldn't get the highest bliss of Krishna Prema. That's not available in the other processes. So, taking the process of bhakti as per the pages of Bhagavatam through the Harinama Sankirtana is the only means for attaining that highest bliss. It reminds of another interesting statement which Prabhupada quotes in one of the previous purports in this same section. Satisfaction is the beginning of transcendental bliss. But what happens is, when people tend to take up other processes, definitely they get some sort of enjoyment that is there. That's the reason people go to those processes. But what they think is, that's the ultimate. But that's not the case. Aiming for the ultimate bliss is supposed to be the objective of the human being. There is a famous saying by one among the great personalities, of course, in the material world, in India, Honorable former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He says, it's a crime not to aim high. It's a crime to not aim high. So having received this human body, if we still limit ourselves to the simple processes which wouldn't yield the highest bliss, then it's a crime. It is not justifiable. So this body has been provided to us to attain the highest bliss. So why to compromise? And so just in few verses, the diagnosis gets completed. All the ultrasound scanning, all the PET scan, all the MRI scanning gets completed by Narada Maharshi, and instantaneously the results of the diagnosis is also being given by Narada Maharshi in this section, in from text number 8 to 21. And the diagnosis is very simple. Describe about the glories of the Lord in one line. You have done a lot about Dharmartha Kama Moksha, but that's useless. Please describe about the Supreme Lord. And interestingly, in the purport, in the beginning of the purport, if we see, Prabhupada starts with the sentence, it is not just that fruitive work is condemned. Even Vedic literatures are being condemned. The reason is they are focusing primarily only on dharmartha, kama, moksha. Only the Chaturvida Purushartha is being focused, but not the Supreme Law, the entire Purva Bhaga of Vedas. And then when we come to the Uttara Bhaga, again, completely for impersonal Brahman. But it's not going to give us the highest bliss. So as long as the process wouldn't give us the highest bliss, it's not going to help us. So the emphasis is on glorifying the Supreme Lord. If we look at through an example, in one sense, all these great Shrutis and Smritis, they are like pure 24 karat gold. Let's presume like that. It may be a 24 karat gold. Such a great work has been done. But can we make an ornament with 24 karat gold? No. At the same time, it will have to be studded. It will have to be mixed with a little bit of copper. It will have to be some beads, some bends, curves. Or it will have to be hammered and made as an ornament. Then only it can be worn. People can wear it and enjoy the benefit of that. Or else it remains just useless metal. That's all. Of course, in the material parlance, it is not considered as useless. Unfortunately, India is the greatest importer of that yellow metal. It's so unfortunate. Nevertheless, it may be pure gold, but unless it is turned into an ornament, it's useless for us. In the same way, these Vedic literatures, they may appear to be great. Nevertheless, since they are not including the glories of the Supreme Lord, they remain useless for us. That's why we are not able to, we wouldn't be able to, even if we tried, we wouldn't be able to, even if we spend our whole lifetime, we can't complete those Vedic literatures. If we discuss with those Pandits who learn Vedas, Swashakai, in whichever Gotra and the Veda in which they are born, that itself will take at least 8 to 9 years. That's the bare minimum. Still, if they want to do a bit better, it will take roughly 16 years for one Veda. And then almost 12 to 10 more years for Vyakarana. Even then, they can't claim that they have learned those Vedas. What for? That which wouldn't give the highest bliss. So, the process which we adopt, whether it will give the highest bliss, is to be constantly verified. That's what is being reminded through these sections of from 8 to 21, right? Almost 12, 13 verses. In this connection, I'll just narrate a short story about the importance of having a higher aim and not to restrict ourselves with simple trivial things. Once upon a time, there was a sadhu. He was traveling by the countryside along with his disciple. It was a very long journey. They were passing through desert, forest, rivers and other things. They were so tired. Close by a forest, they came across a village wherein there was a small hut. A person was living with his family. Very simple man. In front of that house, a wonderful farm was there. It was a very, very fertile land, nice farm, but totally uncultivated. That person was not utilizing the land, but that land was belonging to this guy. So as the sadhu and his disciple, they were reaching that village, they observed all these things, and as they met this person, they said, can we get some food, and can we stay here for overnight? As per the request, and as soon as the guy also met the sadhu, extended a warm welcome and offered wonderful food and other things, and they were also given a place to make themselves comfortable and feel relaxed. So they stayed there during that night. On course of that discussion, the sadhu asked that guy, what you are doing for a living? You seem to be a very simple person. Though you have a land, I see that this land is barren. It's not being cultivated. So what do you do for your living? He was very curious. You are also feeding us whatever is required for us. You have fed us nicely. So how do you manage? He said, no, I have a buffalo, 1 or 2 buffaloes I have. So get milk, I just take care of those buffaloes and I'm fine with that. I'm happy with that. Oh, okay, fine. Then all of them went to bed. In the middle of the night, Sadhu woke up his disciple and said, Chalo, get up, let's leave this village. Since spiritual master is calling, disciple also said, okay, we'll start. But as they got up and they were about to leave, the Sadhu told his disciple, go and get that buffalo, grab that buffalo and come. His disciple was shocked. What is this? That is the only livelihood for this poor man, and that source of livelihood, if that's being grabbed, what this guy will do from tomorrow, how he is going to manage his family affairs and how he is going to take care of his life. The disciple was very much shocked. Nevertheless, it was an instruction. He was even very much dissatisfied. He was not convinced by his guru's instructions to grab that buffalo. Nevertheless, since it was the instruction from his guru, he took that buffalo and both of them, they left the home of that person and they left the village. Early morning, when this guy took the vessel for milking that buffalo, he saw his buffalo was not there. He was shocked. He was just looking around. Then days, years, months passed by. Months and years passed by. Meanwhile, this doubt was continuously irking that disciple. And one day he asked, and the guru and disciple, they left to their ashram. And one day they were discussing, why did you do this? Why you wanted to grab that buffalo, which was the only means for that person? Sadhu said, no, that guy, he will have to learn to aim for higher purpose in life. He has an amazing resource. With that amazing resource, he can even be an instrument to feed several people. Instead of that, he is restricting himself. What you do, now you go and you just take time, spend few days, go back to that village and see what that guy is doing. As instructed by the guru, this disciple alone went back. And when he went there to his surprise, he saw that barren land, fertile barren land, as an amazing fruit orchard. Amazing, wonderful fruits were cultivated, and it was a sight to behold, And he looked at that farm and he was surprised. Then very curiously again he reached the home of that person and he asked, who has cultivated all these things? What is this? How come this land changed like this? Last time when we came, it was not like this. And he was surprised. He said, no, it's all, it is my farm, and I started doing this. Then nevertheless, somehow that person realized that buffalo has been taken away by this sadhu. And then he started thanking the sadhu through his disciple. If not for your guru, I would not have done this. He made me to realize that aim of life should be something higher, not to restrict ourselves with a buffalo. Of course, just to understand the concept of aiming high, aiming for the best. I just took the story. So that's the essence. If I would have restricted myself with this buffalo, I would have continued like this. My life would have been just a buffalo, the dunk which the buffalo expels out, and that's it. That would have been my entire thing. But because of your guru, I realized that this land has got this much of potential. So I started, I had to earn some livelihood. So I went to the forest, started cutting some trees and taking it to the village, selling it. Whatever money I got, I bought some seeds. I planted those seeds in this farm, and they started growing well. And now I am the largest producer of fruits in this town, and I distribute to everyone. I make a lot of money, and I am able to serve lot of sadhus like you people. So it's all because of your sadhu. or else I would have restricted my life with that buffalo. So that aiming, keeping aim at the highest level is essential. So in our case, by the costless mercy of Sriman Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, we have been very clearly given that highest aim. And the best result which that highest aim would give us, which is Krishna Prema, and the highest bliss can be derived out of that Krishna Prema. And the process to achieve that is bhakti with Harinam Sankirtan as the core element. So instead of restricting ourselves with some trivial, simple processes, the more we focus on this highest best of the process, the better we can achieve the result. So let's try to focus and see how quickly we'll try our level best to achieve in this lifetime, or else it wouldn't be whatever we do wouldn't go in vain. It wouldn't be wasted. We still have opportunities, as Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita. So we can pursue the goal of this highest aim forever without any interruption. Okay. Just to summarize, so after having compiled greatest of the literatures, Srila Vyasadeva is dissatisfied, and he is being guided by his spiritual master. The way a feedback has to be given to a person about, it's typically an appraisal which is being done, but that appraisal is being done in a very nice way, not just straight away hammering, appreciating, glorifying all his work, and then appreciating, and then finding out the discrepancies in his works, and that's being presented to Vyasadeva. At the same time, the disciple didn't go to any XYZ. He has approached his spiritual master because he's a Purana Purusha Upasitaha, the greatest of the devotees of the Supreme Lord. So that's also an essential element. And so instead of restricting ourselves while we are in this human body within the trivial materialistic activities, the more we utilize this body for the highest benefit, for the highest of the services as given to us by Srila Prabhupada and Mahaprabhu, to achieve Krishna Prema, we will also achieve the highest bliss. Okay. With this, I conclude. Thank you for tolerating me. Thanking you very much. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Any Krishna?